Isabel Allende was born August 2, 1942 in Lima, Peru. Her father, the cousin of Salvador Allende, a Chilean diplomat at the time. In 1945, Isabel's mother divorced her father, and when Isabel was 11 years old, her mother marries Ramón Huidobro, a career diplomat. She returns to Chile at 16 to finish her secondary studies. She meets her future husband, Miguel Frias, who is an engineering student. Between 1959 and 1965, Isabel joins the United Nations, working for the Food and Agriculture Organization in Santiago. Then, in 1962, when Isabel was 20, she marries Miguel Frias. 1 year later, daughter Paula is born, and they travel throughout Europe. They live in Belgium and Switzerland for a brief time. When the family returns to Chile in 1966, son Nicolás is born. During 1967 to 74, Isabel writes for Paola, the first feminist magazine in Chile, which she co-founded. In 1970, Salvador Allende was elected as the first socialist president of Chile. Ramón Huidobro, Isabel's stepfather, is appointed ambassador of Argentina. Then in 1973, General Augusto stages a coup on September 11th. Salvador Allende dies during the coup. Although many Chileans believe he was assassinated, the military government claims Allende committed suicide. Later, in 1975, at age 33, Isabel immigrates to Venezuela with her husband and children, where they remain for the next 13 years. She contributes to El Nacional, an influential newspaper in Caracas. There was a temporary separation from Miguel Frias in 1978. In 1981, she received the news that her 99-year-old grandfather was dying, so Isabel begins a letter to him that ultimately becomes the manuscript for The House of the Spirits. Unfortunately, in 1987, Isabel and Miguel Frias divorce. Luckily, on July 17, 1988, Isabel marries Willie Gordon in San Francisco, California, but moved to San Rafael. In 1990, democracy is reinstated in Chile, and they elect a new president. After a 15-year absence, Isabel returns to receive the Gabriela Mistral Inter-American Prize for Culture, given in honor of the Chilean Nobel laureate, poet, educator, diplomat, and feminist. In 1981, Paula, who lives in Madrid, suffers a porphyria attack and falls into coma. Paula dies on December 6, 1992, in Isabel and Willie's home in San Rafael, California. Paula, a memoir, is published in Spanish, German, and Dutch in 1994. Of Love and Shadows is made into a movie in which Antonio Banderas stars. In 1996, Isabel launches the Isabel Allende Foundation in December in honor of Paula. The foundation is dedicated to supporting programs that promote and preserve the fundamental rights of women and children to be empowered and protected. 1998 passes in a breeze when Isabel receives the Dorothy and Lillian Gish Prize, an annual arts award given to a man or woman who has made an outstanding contribution to the beauty of the world and the mankind's enjoyment and understanding of life. Then in 1999, Daughter of Fortune, published in Spanish. The book is translated into English later in the year. Isabel's son Nicolás marries Lori Barra in January. Portrait in Sepia, published in Spain and other European countries in 2000. Isabel appears on the Oprah Winfrey Show to discuss Daughter of Fortune. In 2003, Isabel becomes an American citizen. Zorro is published in Spanish in 2005. In 2006, Isabel is one of the 8 Olympic flag bearers at the opening ceremony of the Winter Olympics in Turin, Italy. Isabel represents Latin America. Then in 2007, Isabel is invited to speak at the TED conference. Her topic is women. Currently, she still lives in San Rafael, California, with her husband. Mama Frazier works for the Summers and one day opens the door to find baby Eliza in a crate covered with a sweater. Miss Rose and Jeremy then adopt her. Miss Rose teaches Eliza about being a proper lady and is always saying that she was found in a linen basket covered in gold coins and that she should be grateful, or she could have ended up in an orphanage. John Summers is another family member and is a captain of a ship and constantly visits Chile to see his sister and Eliza, bringing them gifts from around the world. One day, a man named Jacob came to town to sell Bibles because of a bet, and falls in love with Miss Rose. He leaves when people find out he is an impostor. He was no missionary for the Protestant faith. He becomes friends with Joaquin Andieta, who is a poor boy supporting his mother. One day he starts working at the company in which Jeremy owns, and he came to the house to leave some of the products in Summer's property so they wouldn't be stolen. Eliza sees him for the first time and knows she loves him. Luckily, he feels the same, but is saddened because she is the daughter of Jeremy, or so he thinks. They secretly meet during parties at the Summers house, and soon enough, they start to see each other intimately in the house, and Eliza drugs Miss Rose and Jeremy so they don't see or hear a thing. Then, the gold rush begins, and Joaquin gets the gold fever and leaves with the promise of coming back rich. But since he is poor, he steals some money and products from the company that Jeremy owns to get himself started. Eliza meets Tao Chin, a Chinese doctor, and he hides her on a ship on the way to California. She gives him money to hide her, and she plans to find Joaquin because she is pregnant. But she loses the baby in the voyage. They arrive, and Eliza is always disguised as a boy, either Tao's little mute brother or a small Hispanic boy who plays piano and cooks very well, and also as the little brother of Joaquin Andieta. She leaves multiple times to look for Joaquin, but always comes back to Tao, and soon enough she gives up and dresses like a girl again. Then she goes to see the head of Joaquin Murrieta, a criminal, described to be like her Joaquin. Alejandro de la Vega goes to California and helps Padre Mendoza fight the Indians. They win, but realize the Indian leader was Toy Purina, a woman. Alejandro and Toy Purina fall in love and get married, and then she gets baptized as Regina and ends up pregnant. Regina gets sick after Diego is born, so her mother, White Owl, comes to get her back to health. While they find another woman, Ana, who also had a child, to feed Diego her milk while Regina gets better. Bernardo, Ana's son, and Diego become milk brothers and were inseparable afterwards. When they were 10, pirates came and ransacked the house.